Hi all, today I am going to give you a small demo on mainframe automation using Blue Prism. Since I am using a free mainframe system, the demo will be very basic, where I will be writing some commands, sending some keys and reading some text. So Blue Prism supports many terminal emulators, but I will be using one of them called IBM Personal Communications. So let me just open that. So the first thing I need to do is to configure a session, right? So let me start a new session. Where I will have to provide some parameters like host name, etc. So I am having a free, as I told you, I will be using a free mainframe system. So I am having a host name that I am going to use. So my host name is this. I simply copy and paste this host name and click apply. Click OK. So this is asking me to set up the printer, so I just select one, and you can see my mainframe emulator is able to talk to mainframe system, right? So now I am going to tell you how to save the configuration file which will be used by Blue Prism to launch the application. So to save the file, what you need to do, you need to go to file and click on save or save as, and then you need to save your configuration file. So this configuration file will basically contain all the configuration information which will be again used by Blue Prism to establish the session or connection. So let me give the name something like Blue Prism automation, and let's save this. Just to tell you that the path of this configuration file is something like this, right? So you need to go to the user, then app data, roaming, IBM, and inside the personal communications folder. Now let's close this terminal emulator and open the Blue Prism tool. Go to studio, and now I will create an object. So let's call it our mainframe object. So this is my mainframe object. What I need to do, similar to other application types, I need to go to application modeler, where I will select the application type. So since this is my application, this is my mainframe, so I will select mainframe, click next, and you can see a list of different emulators. So but as you know, I am going to use mainframe 1, so I will select mainframe IBM IBM 1, so I will select this IBM mainframe, click next, and you see it is asking for the session file path. So you remember our path is this, and our session file was this. So let me just copy the path and go to this folder and select our Blue Prism automation configuration file, right? then it asks for session identifier. So let's select something and finish it. Right now I should be able to launch the configuration, should be able to launch the terminal emulator. So let me just launch. And you can see my terminal emulator has been launched. So now similar to other application types, I need to identify my elements and the screen. So as you can see here, I need to enter my choice here. So you can see this label saying enter your choice, right? So but before that I need to identify this field, right, or this area where I can type in my choice, right? So to do so, you need to click identify, and then you need to select the screen. So just remember, you need not to select the entire screen, these menus and toolbar etc. You just need to select this area, right? So let me just select this. As soon as you press Ctrl and do left mouse click, the spy grid appears, which allows you to create a region for your field, right? So what you need to do, you just select the area. Let's say if I want to enter something here, I will just select this area and select it. So when you move your mouse cursor, that area will become highlighted, and you just need to press Ctrl and left mouse click. So this will create an element for you, right? So this is my choice area. So I just say choice, and you can see different attributes. So start X, end X, start Y, end Y. So even you can set so basically these are columns and rows, and you can select based on your requirement, right? Or you can change them if you are not able to select using your mouse there. Let's try to highlight it. So you can see it is able to highlight it, right? So I just click on apply, and then we'll go back to my emulator. I just close this spy grid. So you see this close button here. Just close this one, and I provide the value just to go to the next screen so that I can spy that screen as well. So I provide AOF and press enter. Not actually enter, but shift and control, right? So you can see I am taken to the new screen. So here as well I need to identify the screen, and I will be simply using two things, operator ID and password, and I don't have any valid credentials here, so I will be using some vague credentials, and then finally it will show me some error message or warning message that invalid credential or something, right? So I will try to read that. So first let me identify these two elements as well. One is operator ID and the other one is password. So let's add another element, call it operator ID, and try to identify this. So similar to that, you need to select the field. So just make sure you you create your field or region and in a way that any dynamic data can be incorporated here, right? So while reading or writing, just take its take the sufficient length. So here you can see I select this one and I am able to highlight this one. The next thing would be password. So I add another element, call it password, identify it, highlight it, apply. Now what I do, let me just close this spy grid, and let's say if I try to enter some operator ID, some invalid password, and try to submit this. So you see this message appears here. So I will try to read this message as well. So let me identify this again. So I add an element, call it MSG, identify it in a similar manner. So you see I am not able to, sometimes this happens, I am not able to select the particular row. So I can change this later as well. So I just select this area, right, and so you see my end y is 24, but it should be 23. So what I do, I just make this 23 here, apply, and then try to highlight it, right. So I am now able to highlight the useful or meaningful area, or the area I am concerned about. Now let's click on OK and close the grid, and even close the emulator as well. Now the next step would be I need to automate this entire process, right. So I just go back to my action, right. I'm not changing the name. So the first action would be I need to launch my terminal emulator, right. So I will use navigate stage and will use my application name. We'll select launch action, right, and name it launch. After launch, it is always good to use wait, so I will be using wait. I think 2 seconds should be sufficient here. Now the next step would be I need to enter the choice, if you remember, right. So I will use write, where I will say enter choice, and you remember my field name was choice, right. So let's say if I want to enter AOF, right, and the next step would be I need to submit my entry, right. So you know, for mainframe there are different ways to send keys, right. So and that may vary from emulator to emulator. So since I am using IBM one, so I will be following that. So let me just use again navigate. I will say submit choice, and will select my application, global send keys, and I need to send enter, right. So how I can send that, within double quotes it will be enter, like this. Click OK. So this will send this will submit my choice, and the next step would be I will have to wait for some time, right. So let me just put another wait. So this will be again probably 2 seconds, and now I need to write again. So I will enter my operator ID, as you remember, I will say enter op id, select operator, and maybe Ahmed, right? Next action would be I need to write the password, right? So I will use another write, will say enter password, and my password could be anything, right? So because I do not have details, that login attempt will fail. So I will just code for that invalid credential message. So to read that, before that I need to again submit my entry. So I will use another navigate, where I will say submit credentials. Here I will have to use again global send keys and enter. After this, I need to read the message, right? So to read the message, I will use read stage. And this is my field or area where I will use read field, right? And will store somewhere. So this is my message, right? Let me generate the data item. That is generated. So you can see I have the data item as well, right? Now finally what I want to do, I want to end the flow, right? So let me just link everything together. Right, so let's save this. Now let's try to run this and see what happens. So this should launch my terminal emulator. This should be able to, you see, it has given the choice. I am moved to the next screen. Here I am expecting, okay, so some wrong value, but that's fine. And you see this message appearing here. Now let's go back to our blue prism and check this data item. So you see I am able to read the message, right? So this is a very basic demo where I am just trying to write something, trying to read something, or even trying to send some keys. The important thing is how you spy any field, how you use spy grid, right? How you can use row and columns to create your automation, right? Hope this is helpful to you guys. Thank you very much.